Christian Horner wasn't just Red Bull's team principal, he was Red Bull Racing. 20 years, 124 race wins, 8 drivers' championships, 6 constructors' titles, a one-man institution, and then gone. No farewell, no press conference, just effective immediately. Ladies and gents, you don't pay someone 50 million pounds to exit quietly unless you're hiding a story so volatile it could blow apart the paddock. And today, we're digging into exactly what that story is. Smash that like button like Red Bull smashed the 2023 grid, because we're about to dive deeper than Sky Sports ever will. Let's go. Here's what you weren't told on TV. This wasn't just a firing, it was a calculated corporate coup. For years, Horner's job was protected by Chalerm Uvidya, the quiet Thai billionaire whose family owned 51% of Red Bull. Even when the Verstappens and Helmut Marko were gunning for Horner's head, Chalerm said no. But on May 20th, everything changed. Chalerm transferred his personal 2% shareholding to a Swiss trust. Suddenly, the Thai majority crumbled. The Austrians took control, and guess who they'd been dying to axe? Christian Edward Horner. This was Red Bull's corporate Game of Thrones. One man lost the crown, and they didn't even give him the dignity of finishing the season. Bernie Ecclestone himself, Horner's friend, didn't hold back. He was a 50-year-old who thought he was 20, just an idiot. Even Bernie thinks Christian let the power go to his head. From WhatsApp scandals to team control obsessions, the whispers became roars. And the Verstappens, they were watching, waiting, pushing. Jos Verstappen famously warned, if Horner stays, the team will collapse. Now that Max's future is on the line, with a contract exit clause based on championship position, Red Bull had to act. This wasn't personal, this was survival. So what now for Christian Horner? Let's be honest, he's not done. This man didn't bleed for 2 decades to just disappear. He's playing chess. Red Bull made their move, now it's his turn. Alpine is the most obvious play. No leadership, no direction, no vision. And Flavio Briatore, Horner's old ally, is pulling strings behind the curtain. Christian could walk into Enstone tomorrow, reshape that team, and with Mercedes engines arriving in 2026, turn Alpine into Red Bull's worst nightmare. Oh, and here's the kicker. Alpine is based in the UK. No relocation, no language barriers, no excuses. Ferrari, still possible. Fred Vasseur is under pressure. John Elkann has courted Horner before. The politics are murky, but if Ferrari is serious about breaking their 15-plus year title drought, Horner is the nuclear option. But here's the real twist. Red Bull might have fired him, but they also armed him. They gave him a 50 million pound war chest. They benched a man who knows every Red Bull secret, engine plans, tech specs, sponsor strategies, and once that gardening leave ends, he's free to rebuild, free to fight back. Christian Horner, the second most successful team boss in Formula One history, the man who turned a midfield scrapyard into a world-beating dynasty, and now, for the first time in 20 years, he's unemployed. But not unwanted. Ferrari's knocking, Alpine's waiting. But here's the twist. Horner might walk away from the biggest job in motorsport. Why? Because it's not just about titles, it's about power. And Ferrari, for all its history, may never give him that. So buckle up, because this isn't just about where Christian Horner might go. This is about where Formula One goes next. Smash that like button like it's the last lap in Suzuka. This story's about control, loyalty, legacy, and the one thing Ferrari can't offer. Ferrari, the Holy Grail, the poison chalice. Every team principal secretly dreams of running Maranello, but not Christian Horner, at least not yet. He's already turned down Ferrari multiple times. Why? Because Ferrari offers prestige, but never ownership. And Martin Brundle, of all people, said it loud and clear. Christian will be desperate to have a stake in a team going forward. You don't get that at Ferrari. Let's get brutally honest. Ferrari is a political minefield, always has been. You don't lead Ferrari. You survive it. You answer to John Elkann. You navigate the Italian press. You juggle legacy, politics, and pressure with no real power. And Christian, he's not a hired gun. He's a builder, a controller, a boss. Red Bull gave him full spectrum power, technology strategy, commercial, PER. That's why he stayed so long, because it was his team. And Ferrari, that's not on the table. Fred Vasseur is hanging on by a thread. Ferrari is slipping in 2025. The pressure is suffocating. But the real issue, Ferrari wants obedience, not independence. And Horner doesn't play second fiddle. He plays maestro. So if not Ferrari, Where? Alpine, the underdog, the sleeping giant, and suddenly the perfect storm. Let's connect the dots. Alpine is based in the UK. Christian lives in the UK. Alpine needs a leader. Christian is a free agent. And then there's this. Flavio Briatore is already in charge behind the scenes. Old school, ruthless, and get this, an old ally of Horner. Add Steve Nielsen as managing director, and Alpine becomes the stage for Horner's next act. Think about it. Horner once took the dying embers of Jaguar and built Red Bull into a dynasty. Now Alpine's in the same state. Midfield mediocrity, leadership vacuum, no vision. He's done it before. He could do it again. And if Mercedes engines arrive in 2026, Alpine becomes dangerous, and Horner gets the one thing Ferrari can't give him: control. We're not talking about employment. We're talking about empire. If Alpine offers Horner a share, ownership, it's game on. Forget Ferrari's history. This would be Horner's future. Written by him, engineered by him. It's not a rumor, it's not speculation. Ferrari's team boss, Fred Vasseur, has publicly admitted it. They've given up on the 2025 title. Let that sink in. We're halfway through the season. The most legendary team in Formula One history has surrendered. But here's the twist. This isn't just about McLaren's dominance. It's about internal chaos, driver dissatisfaction, engineering dead ends, and a leadership vacuum that no one inside Maranello seems willing to fix. Fred says he's being lucid. I say he's being defeated. If you love Ferrari, if you love drama, and if you want the truth, no one in the paddock wants to say out loud, "Stay with me." Like this video before Ferrari fans hit the dislike out of shame. You're about to hear what even Sky Sports wouldn't dare admit. Fred Vasseur, post-British GP, didn't just downplay Ferrari's chances. He said the quiet part out loud. Even if you win all the races until the end, I'm not even sure that you will be champion. Excuse me, that's not analysis, that's resignation. McLaren is dominant, yes, 9 wins out of 12, but the moment your team principal starts speaking like this publicly, the rot isn't in the points table, it's in the mentality. Let's remember, this is Ferrari. This is the team that built its name on fighting until the last lap of the last race. Now they're already focused on 2026. This isn't just strategy, it's a retreat, because under the surface, Ferrari isn't just losing races, they're losing control. Hamilton's words were ice cold. He called the SF25 the most difficult car I've ever driven here. He said it's packed with flaws that must not carry into 2026. And here's the kicker. He's already talking like he's the one designing next year's car, not driving it, designing it. That's not a sign of confidence in the leadership. That's a driver seizing control because no one else is. Even Leclerc, who's usually a team player to a fault, barely held back at Silverstone. He finished 4th. Behind a Sauber. Nico Hülkenberg didn't just pass him, he embarrassed him. You can't blame Charles. He's stuck between bad strategy, a car that doesn't respond, and a team boss who's already planning for a season that's 18 months away. Vasseur may be realistic, but to the Tifosi, he sounds like a man prepping for replacement. Let's break down the "we're working on 2026 angle. On paper, smart move, new regulations, new power units, new aero, new everything. But here's the brutal truth. The only reason to pivot this early is because you've got no shot now, and you know your current car is a dead end, which apparently it is. Let's talk about the silence behind the scenes. Fred's contract is expiring soon. The Italian media is circling like vultures. And guess whose name keeps surfacing? Christian Horner. Yes, the man just fired by Red Bull, a man who turned a mid-tier team into a dynasty. If Ferrari wants to be back on top before the 2030s, they need someone who doesn't just manage, they need someone who commands. Fred isn't that guy, never was, and Ferrari knows it. Why do you think they keep letting drivers speak out? Why do you think the press leaks are intensifying? Why do you think Charles Leclerc is unusually quiet about his own long-term future? Because this isn't just about car performance, it's about direction. And right now, Ferrari doesn't have one. They've got a driver lineup worthy of a title fight, a budget worthy of a super team, a fan base that bleeds red, but they've got no vision, no leadership, no fight. So yeah, sure, you can start designing the 2026 car now, but until you fix what's broken in the pit wall and the technical floor above it, you're just throwing millions at blueprints that'll end up chasing P3 again.